I educated you for the classical music, not to play waltzes or...
The world of music was shaken when news broke about a sudden and emotional moment in the life of the legendary André Rieu. At 75, the beloved violinist and conductor, famous for his stunning performances and unforgettable musical creations, faced a life-changing event that no one expected. Known to millions around the globe as the King of the Waltz, André has long been a source of joy and beauty in music. But recently, he experienced a health scare that left his fans heartbroken and deeply concerned for his future. It happened during a performance, a moment meant for celebration and music, when André suddenly collapsed. The audience, filled with admirers, watched in shock as their musical hero struggled on stage. Though he has faced challenges before, this one seemed heavier, more frightening. But to truly understand the weight of this moment, you must go far back into André's life, to a time long before the fame and the world tour, to a small, quiet home in the Netherlands after World War II. André was born on October 1, 1949, in Maastricht, a city still carrying the scars of war. He was the third of 6 children in a devout Roman Catholic family. His father, also named André Rieu, was a respected conductor of the Maastricht Symphony Orchestra. To the outside world, the elder Rieu was a man of talent and prestige, but inside the family home, he was strict, cold, and unyielding. Years later, André would describe his childhood home not as a warm place filled with laughter, but as a place of silence and discipline. Affection was rare, discipline was constant. He once said, "My parents didn't love me very much. That's not a feeling, it's a fact." These were not bitter words, but honest ones. There were no hugs, no shared moments of joy, and little room for self-expression. The house was quiet, but not in a peaceful way. It was a silence that weighed on the children, keeping them subdued and watchful. Friends were not welcome. Conversations were limited. His mother was deeply focused on his academic success and violin practice. Any praise from others, especially if it hinted at talent or individuality, was not met with pride but with discomfort. When a teacher once complimented young André's artistic gifts, his mother treated it almost like an insult. Excellence was not celebrated. It was expected, and even perfection rarely seemed to satisfy. Yet, in this rigid and emotionally distant environment, something extraordinary happened. In 1954, when André was just 5, he met his first violin teacher. She was 18, blonde, and full of life. Though he was far too young to understand love, he was mesmerized by her. She represented warmth and beauty, and she played music not as a task, but as a living, breathing art. For André, it wasn't just the violin that captivated him, it was the emotion behind it. While other children were learning technique, he was drawn to feeling. The violin became more than strings, and with it became a voice, a way to express what he could not say out loud. But life at home did not soften. As he grew older, especially in his teenage years, tension with his father worsened. By the early 1960s, André was discovering his own musical tastes, and he fell in love with Waltz's joyful, flowing music that celebrated life. His father, however, looked down on waltzes, calling them frivolous and unworthy of serious musicians. When André expressed his wish to follow this path, his father dismissed the idea sharply, saying, "I didn't raise you to play waltzes." To young André, it felt like rejection, not only of his music, but of himself. The final break with his parents came not over music, but over love. Around 1968, André introduced Marjorie, the woman he loved, to his family. Instead of a warm welcome, his mother coldly told Marjorie to leave, treating André like a misbehaving child. That night, hurt and humiliated, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He walked out and never returned. His parents never came to any of his concerts, not even when he was performing for thousands around the world. Later, André would admit he spent years in therapy trying to understand that emptiness. The castles, the fame, the cheering fans, they never fully healed the silence I grew up with, he said. But music gave him something else, the chance to create the life he never had. Music became his refuge and his weapon. The violin was no longer just an instrument, it was his voice, his shield, and his lifeline. Only when I played did I feel truly seen, he once said. From pain, he carved beauty. From silence, he created sound. Every concert, every melody was his way of filling the void left by unloving childhood. By the late 1970s, after years performing in formal orchestras, André felt the same emptiness creeping in. The music world seemed cold, the conversation shallow. They talked about the weather, their salaries, he recalled. No one talked about the music. At 29, in 1978, he made another bold choice. He left with just a handful of musicians. He formed a small group called the Maastricht Salon Orchestra. They played weddings, community events, and small gatherings, anywhere people would listen. Money was scarce, fame non-existent, but something else grew: freedom. And beside him through it all was Marjorie. She was not only his wife, but his anchor, his partner in every sense. She managed the business, composed music in secret, and believed in him when few others did. Therapy and healing were part of this journey. André spoke openly about how he worked for years to process his childhood pain. My parents didn't love me. That's not a feeling. It's a fact, he once said. But instead of letting bitterness win, he built a world of music that looked nothing like the one he grew up in. By 1987, he was ready for a bigger leap. Nearly 40, he dissolved his first group and created something entirely new, the Johann Strauss Orchestra. It began with only 12 musicians and an idea many thought absurd. At a time when rock and pop ruled the charts, André wanted to bring waltz music to the masses. Their first concert on January 1, 1988, was unlike any classical performance before. There were no stiff suits, no cold atmosphere. There was light, movement, and joy. The audience clapped, laughed, and even sang along. Critics rolled their eyes. But André knew he was onto something. "I'm not here to impress experts," he said. "I'm here to move people." By 1995, his vision exploded onto the world stage. During the UEFA Champions League final in Vienna, with over 300 million people watching, André and his orchestra performed at halftime. As the music began, something magical happened. Tens of thousands of football fans started to sway, clap, and hum along. This was not just a concert, it was a cultural moment. Suddenly, waltz music was alive again, and it belonged to everyone. The impact was massive. His 1994 album, Strauss & Co., stayed at the top of the Dutch charts for 19 weeks, and sold more than 3 million copies worldwide. Audiences in Germany, Australia, and beyond embraced him. One concert in Melbourne drew nearly 40,000 people, breaking records. But success came with criticism. Some in the classical world called him a showman, accused him of turning serious music into entertainment. They mocked his sets, his lighting, his theatrical style. But to fans, this was exactly the point. André made music feel alive. Those silent, stiff concerts, he once said, that's what keeps people away with us. That feeling doesn't exist. In 2008, he took his vision further, building a full-scale replica of Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace for his tour. It cost over 30 million euros, but it turned concerts into unforgettable experiences. Yet even at the peak of success, life reminded André he was still human. In 2010, a viral infection affected his inner ear, causing balance problems devastating for a violinist. He had to cancel tour and feared his career might end. In 2016, tragedy struck again when one of his closest friends and orchestra members died unexpectedly during a Christmas tour. He was family, André said through tears, but André kept going. Even when sick or grieving, he performed, driven by love for music and loyalty to his orchestra and fans. In 2019, battling a severe flu, he still stepped onto the stage, smiling through the pain. Finally, in March 2024, his body gave out. At 74, during a tour in Mexico City, André collapsed backstage. The combination of high altitude, exhaustion, and illness overwhelmed him. Feverish and weak, he called Marjorie and said, "I never want a concert day like this again." André Rieu's life is more than music. It's a story of pain turned into beauty, of strict beginnings transformed into joy for millions. From a silent childhood to sold-out arenas, he showed us that music can heal, inspire, and bring people together. His recent health scare reminds us that even legends are human, but his spirit continues to play on. If his journey moved you, share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and celebrate the power of music with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories.